Daniel, give it on the Sheikh.
You people must tell me we develop a course.
Sheikh, a microphone.
I think it has to go.
Let us know before you go live, right?
Right on the collar. Good.
Yeah.
You reckon I can sit here?
Yeah, sit.
That should be fine.
Where's brother Imran? I'm here. This the one? Okay.
Make sure my doctor doesn't see me, huh?
Hopefully he doesn't watch the live stream.
He's probably following you now. He's watching you.
Then he will ban me from coming to here.
We'll get you another doctor.
But do you understand why we must differentiate between cryptocurrency and crypto asset from a fiqh point of view?
Yeah, no,
Do you see the rationale of the ulama?
yeah, we had the presentation. We had a guy from America. He was presenting on ICO. Okay, so from that, yeah, definitely it's a commodity, but whether that commodity, investing in that commodity is halal or haram. So that's the thing. Because of the gharar is involved, because of the volatility is involved, because of the speculation involved, whether it's halal or haram.
Many are asset back now, doctor. Check the regulation with Bank Negara Malaysia. Check the regulation.
They have introduced the regulation. So I wasn't following up this on the cryptocurrency.
Are you live there?
Should I ask questions or do
No,
you have any part
please.
of the speech left?
No.
You can ask the question.
Ask question.
Okay. So I had two small questions. One being when we talk about currency, you said if there is a regulation about a currency, the government will have their own currency, I assume. For example, we call it Oscoin, right? I guess that's how it will be. Then what is your opinion on using an unregulated currency, such as Bitcoin? Even though there is a regulated currency such as Oscoin, can we use Bitcoin or Ethereum, which may be unregulated at that time? Is that a possibility that we could use an unregulated and volatile currency such as Bitcoin?
Yes, this is going to happen. Some countries. This is going to happen. Is it on?
You want to merge, sir?
Sorry. Hello? Yeah. This is going to happen in some countries. Some countries will not allow it.
I see.
The government will say no, you cannot privatize currency. And I'm sure you know which country I'm referring to. Some countries, they will allow it, right? Because they want it to get into the free market.
I see.
So the reason they are developing the centralized one is because as an authority, one is to protect the public. Number two is in line with the Keynesian monetary theory, government use money to control the economy, for economic development. So some countries you will have both. And logically speaking, the average person will deal with the government one because this is more protected. The other one, the arbitrageur will deal with it. That's my take on it. Your second question?
Yeah, it's very similar to the first question. Mainly, you said positively about having crypto assets. You said it is halal, in your opinion. But you added a small caveat at the end where you said it has to be from a reputable and
Yes.
a regulated source. But is it halal to have an asset, for example, in cryptocurrency, which may never be regulated or
What I said,
unvolatile.
what I said is, I was referring crypto asset in terms of a token. A token is like a share in a company. They want to raise money, they will issue a token instead of shares, and usually this will be backed because once they raise money for the given transactions, they will develop the business. When they will develop the business, there will be asset behind it. So these are the possibility, the potential that this token will go on the secondary market, and this is where it becomes an asset, right? So when a company wants to issue a token, even if you want to do Islamically, your Sharia board will check that.
Okay.
Yeah, for those who want to do the Islamic part, the token was issued, the nature of the business that will be done with that money, etc.
I see.
So that those that are Sharia compliant. Those that are not Sharia compliant, of course, Sharia scholars do the screening, and also, not besides the Sharia screening, they will, I won't say ensure, but they normally will check if it is asset back.
I see.
If it is a token, it is for a project, and this way become an asset.
Yeah. Yeah, that was all for me. Thank you, Jazakallah.
I had a question about the dollar paper note. I've heard that United States is actually, the US dollar is basically the actual currency you have to work it on if you want to buy anything internationally. So basically, if you want to have anything as an asset, it would be in US dollars, not like Australian dollars. My point is that if today United States declares something, let's say Saudi Arabia had an agreement in 1970s with the United States that they have the equivalent currency, that no matter what happens, the US and Saudi currency would not fall. And it's still now.
Yeah, we call it pegging. We call it pegging.
Yeah, so
The Saudi riyal is pegged to the dollar. So if it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it goes down. Yeah.
yeah, so what happens is, if today, I've heard in the news as well that the US has over $39 trillion of debt.
Excuse me, brothers, can you, excuse me, a bit low, please.
So US has over $39 trillion of debt, and in June, Joe Biden had to do another agreement with the Congress in order to deal with the loans and stuff, and in order to increase the value in the account or in the reserve banks. So what do you think that if you still, again, you have a paper note in your bank account, and tomorrow US currency falls, that also falls as well, because that US is already in big loan, and they can declare it as a default anytime. If that happens next
There
year,
is a big debate right now with the de-dollarization, with the emergence of the BRIC country who wants to create a new currency in line of, it's not an asset, it's not a secret, everybody knows about it, to counteract the influence of the dollar on the world market. Fact remains, it's not easy to remove the demand on the dollar. I tell you why. There are so many contracts, like futures and forwards, where people are planning for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in advance. And this goes into billions. You cannot come overnight and say, okay, we are not going to use a dollar, it's crashing. It's not going to be like that. 34 trillion is, they're asking to increase the amount of debt they can. If my memory serves me well, the value of the US economy is 145 trillion, I read somewhere, subject to correction. So 34, okay, it's quite a consequential amount, but remember, it is the strongest economy in the world. So even to de-dollarization is not something that will take place tomorrow. It's not going to happen like this. Because when those banks that recently were collapsing, right? The one recently, the Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, etc., right? Automatically, to stop the domino effect in the American economy, many central banks came together to stop that. People don't know. If you read, you will see. Because It's not that this is not the hand of the public. The people on the top are conscious. If they really allow a domino effect to take place, that will have a consequence globally, like we have seen in 2008. So we have tested it, the global financial crisis, which again is initiated in US. We are aware about it, and we are going to stop it as far as possible. So I don't think it's going to crash overnight, that we say, okay, we got $34 trillion deficit, we are going to crash it. No, it's not like this.
So, I have another question as well. For example, we have a dollar currency right now. It's a paper note. You already explained everything. But I just read one of the hadiths. It's in Sahih Bukhari 2303 and 2302. That hadith says that, I'm just saying in my words, so it's about the dates. When Sahabi was...
Yeah, date for dates, yeah.
So that dates were not in good condition as well. So if you think about it, dollar as a currency, it's money against good. It doesn't compare actually in reality. If you think about, let's say the dollar, if you buy something, let's say iPhone has a value, or it has a worth. But tomorrow if the currency falls as well, that dollar will not have a value. But the phone will still have a value. You can still buy it in gold or something else. But my point again is that the Prophet, in one of the other hadiths, said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that do trade in 6 items, I think, dates, salt, and 5 or 6 more items.
6.
So my point here is again that, if we are worried about cryptocurrency, we should be worried about dollar as a bill as well. That it's not like Australia can print it overnight. It's like as much as they have the reserves in the bank and as much as they have gold in the bank. And if you can guide me into this as well. Like what will happen, because we are still in untrust position that we can't rely on dollar as well if we have a case of cryptocurrency.
There is a fundamental difference here, that a national currency is backed by a government. It's a law. Yes, there are some countries who do not control it. A typical example is Zimbabwe dollar, the Zimbabwe currency, because they will keep on printing and printing. You can't keep on printing money, because that will definitely devalue that money. So there are rules and regulations regarding what you call in economics, the velocity of money in an economy. So that is highly controlled, regulated. The central banks have an eye on it. So even in Australia, be it in England, be it in US, the amount of currency in an economy is being regulated. This is why, for example, if you feel there's too much inflation, either they increase the rate of interest, or they will issue bond to extract the excess money from the economy so that you don't use it to buy, right? So this got nothing to do with this hadith that you mentioned. The hadith that you mentioned, Rasulullah says there are 6 commodities. When you deal in it, you exchange it. It must be yadan biyadin, that is hand to hand, and must be in the same amount. This hadith concerns what you call riba nasiya and riba ul-fadl. This is what it deals with. Say, for example, if I am to exchange dates, it was Bilal radiallahu ta'ala Ghaliban, where he was eating some good quality dates. He was, so where do you get this? I had, say, for example, 2 kilos of not so good quality, exchange it for 1. That's what I say, why you did that? Because there might be riba al-fadl, quality. There's an exploitation in quality. So what this hadith is telling you here is a concept called the zero-sum game. When you enter into a transaction in Islam, it must be win-win. This is some game where one wins, the other one loses. With riba, this is exactly what happened. With gharar, that is high level of uncertainty, this is exactly what happened. Maisir games, in casino and so on, this is exactly what happened. This hadith is talking on that level. So this doesn't got to do with the theory of money per se. It says about riba there. Yeah. I hope I answered your question. Yeah. Yes.
Sheikh, if you permit me, I would like to
comment.
Digress a bit. Is it possible to ask some questions in relation to mortgages?
Oh Allah.
So the reason is actually, that I also get many questions in this area. So at the moment in Australia, we have, when it comes to the mortgages, non-bank, financial institutions which are providing Islamic finance. There are two types of products they are offering at the moment. One is the Ijara and the other one is the Musharaka. So there's only one organization which offers the Musharaka product. Others...
Musharaka or diminishing Musharaka?
Yeah, diminishing Musharaka. Yeah. But the other one, they use the Ijara product. Okay, so...
Ijara product or Ijara wa iqtina?
Ijara wa iqtina.
We got to be careful what we are saying here because this is live.
So I'm just using the easy term, the lease one. Okay, so lease to own, right? And so now I asked these organizations which use the Ijara product. So I asked them what is your source of finance? And one of the organizations they say that we use the superannuation, and others they say that we use external in financial institutions, and I got the institution's name as well. So the conventional financial institutions which are completely interest based.
Yeah.
So I asked them, how do you get the loan from them? So they told me, because I'm working in the university, so they asked me a counter question. Did you ever ask your employer what is the source of their income? So I said, I'm just serving I'm just giving my service to the students, and I don't need to worry about these. What is the source of their income, unless they are completely involved with the interest-bearing activities. So university is an education institution, and I don't think they are directly involved with any sort of interest-bearing businesses. So then they say, okay, you don't need to worry about what is our source of income, source of fund. As long as we provide you, it is halal, we can ensure it is halal, then it is halal, you don't need to worry. So then another question came into my mind. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam borrowed from Jews and other people, but did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam borrowed on interest? Okay, so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam definitely did not borrow on interest. So it was like the same amount he returned back. But these institutions, the non-bank financial institutions which are providing the mortgages to the brothers, to the borrowers, Muslim borrowers here, so they borrow, and they say that we change the term, instead of interest, we use the profit rate with them, okay? And this is the term we have negotiated with them. So my question is it just changing the term? Does it make it halal? One. And what if, instead of using these Islamic financial institutions, non-bank financial institutions, what if I go directly to these conventional financial institutions and I ask them, can you modify the terms and conditions and make it profit instead of interest? So will it be halal? And I feel like because they cannot enter into this exclusive market, Muslim borrowers, so they are using the Islamic financial institutions as a via to enter into this market. And these non-bank Islamic financial institutions, they also, if you talk to them, they say that they are just a mortgage brokers. So whatever they borrow from these conventional financial institutions, they add up their markup and then give it to you. And I don't know whether it's a Murabaha product they're offering to us. They have the contract with them, how they're designing this product. So there are so many complex issues which actually, made us to be truly, it's not truly, trustworthy, and we feel like we are, the borrowers feel that they are, not getting the right products. So what's your opinion in this line?
There's so many points you have raised. I'll start with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The question here, you are questioning the source. So Rasulullah did not question the source of the money from the Yahud. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
He needed the money, he didn't pay the interest. So same thing, you want a mortgage, they're giving you a mortgage, they're not charging you interest. Now you are asking me the source. I will tell you the source Rasulullah took was from the same people. It's well known in Medina how it was those days. Yeah. So that issue of the source is I don't think it's my opinion. It's not something to worry about. The main thing you have to worry about is if you're going to keep on asking questions. Rasulullah says in a hadith that can destroy you. Once a Rasulullah came home, mafhum hadith, I won't get the exact words. Somebody sent something to drink or eat. Ghaliban it was milk. He said, who sent this? It's mafhum hadith, and mafhum. I don't have the exact term. So and so. And is it from his cattle? Yes, Rasulullah drank it. He didn't say, did this cattle whose grass it ate from? And are you sure it ate? So the point here I'm raising is asking too many questions at times will make life become difficult for you. This I've learned it from the Sharia board I sit on board and from very leading scholars. You ask 1-2 questions. If you keep on asking questions, for example, you told me that you are teaching. I can take the same scenario. I will tell you, okay, you are teaching. The relationship is between you and the student. But because you're teaching the student, your money is coming from a source. Now that source, is it halal or not? The same question now that you're asking the bank. I want to buy a house, but your source, is it halal? My transaction is halal. Your teaching is halal. They're selling. If I haven't seen the contracts, usually I do not answer a question like this. I want to read the contract. Because as a lawyer, I look at a contract differently. You are a mathematician, maybe, I don't know. You will look at it differently. So I think if you give me the contract, I will be in a better position to advise you. Yeah? Because for me, if you want to buy a product, somebody is buying it, selling it to you, he's selling it to you. Right? If you're going to ask him what is your source and you keep on, where do you stop questioning? Then life will become impossible. There's a legal maxim that says, إِذَا ضَاقَ الْأَمْرِ اتَّسَعَ. Sheikh, translate that. إِذَا ضَاقَ الْأَمْرِ اتَّسَعَ. Ma mana? Give this to Sheikh. Give this mic to Sheikh.
So, like in the loose translation, it's if things become narrow, there is a potential of expanding it.
Make it easy. Ittasa. Make usat in there. Yassiru wa la tu'assiru. The Prophet said, make things easy. Don't complicate it. Now, my experience, since 1997, I'm teaching Islamic Finance University, and I've seen the evolution, and the evolution I've seen is positive, not negative. I'll give you one example. In Malaysia, which is, I would think, one of the leading, maybe the leading country where the government really facilitated at the central bank level, etc. They have established institutions, universities like INSEAD and so on. They really want to go forward with it. And they want 30% of the economy to be Islamic finance. In the beginning, there has been some loose thing. In 2012 or 13, they tightened all. Once the market takes off, people have understood everything. They came with the Islamic Financial Services Act of 2012 or 13, where they tightened things. Because in the beginning, it was not clear where we were going. Once we got a clear vision, then you settle it down. Yes, you cannot make haram become halal, halal become haram. La yajuz. Yes, if they are making that, then you don't go with them. But if you don't have dalil, you don't have proof, it's just waham, it's just supposition, assumptions. That's not a good ground to complicate life.
So are they legally liable to disclose the facts?
No, their contract is with you, not their contract with Mr. X. This is a privity of contract. Well, you got nothing to do with this contract there. You got nothing to do with this contract.
Yeah, so according to Ijara, you are not the owner of the property, right? Ijara,
There are three types
yeah.
of, if you study accounting, one is operating lease. Operating lease is where you need a tractor or a house. You tell the bank, I need that. The bank buys it and lease it to you over a period of time. But the property remains in the book of the bank. The bank bears the risk. That Sharia says okay. The second one, what you call financial lease, which many banks do. They buy it, they don't leave it in their bank account. They transfer it in your account. You carry the risk. That one, Sheikh Usmani in his book, and I think there's something on AOF standard, that this is not jaiz. Why is not jaiz? You are the owner, you must carry the risk, except for wear and tear. For example, you buy a house, a mortgage, a tap breaks. You have been using the tap, this is why it breaks. Now if there's something in the ceiling, you never went on the house to jump on the ceiling. It's infrastructural issue. That the bank must fix, not you. Do you understand that? It's not wear and tear. It's something beyond your control. So this Sheikh Usmani in his book, An Introduction to Islamic Finance, is clear about it. You can read the AOIF standard also on that. So we must look again, I come back, I must read the contract because I'm giving answer based on what you're telling me.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you never read the contract properly. Maybe you haven't understood the technical legal term properly. Yeah? So if the bank is taking the responsibility, that is an operating lease, no problem.
So, Sheikh, sorry for my initial discussion of so many points, because it came to my mind that so many people actually presented these things to me. So I thought how to, concisely present to you. But just last question about this one. So they are taking, if I know that they are taking from, say, for example, you have, in Australia, you have Commonwealth Bank of Australia is one of the famous banks, okay, for example. So they take the loan from Commonwealth Bank, and I know that fact, okay. So now, because they take the loan from Commonwealth Bank, so they have to add their profit markup, right, to give it to you. So they have to add their cost or whatever administrative cost and little bit of profit. So now, say Commonwealth Bank was offering 5% in the market, and they take it from them 5%, and they add up their profit markup 0.5%, okay, 5.5%, and give it to you. Now you are paying 5.5%. Now instead of going through them, through Islamic Finance, if you go directly to the Commonwealth Bank, you could save that 0.5%. So how does it, so if I go directly to them, now, so it's just changing of the term, interest and
No, but
profit.
again, I will tell you, I need to read the contract. I don't think this is arrangement with a conventional bank. I don't think this is what they are doing. There must be something else. Because between interbanks,
Yeah.
the transaction is different. When it comes to the retail banking, it's different. It cannot be, okay, I pay you 5%, give me. No, it doesn't make
They
sense.
change the term, yeah, definitely.
There must be something else to that.
Okay.
Because for the Sharia board to approve of it, you got to be careful here. I don't know who is the Sharia board, but the Sharia board member will check all those things. Usually, they won't just approve just rubber stamp things. Especially if they got senior Sharia scholars on board, I'm sure they will have expertise and experience. And the first time this type of things are happening where brokers are involved. So I got to know that the document they have signed with the main bank. You are telling me they took loan. Maybe it's not a loan. It's something else, another type of arrangement.
You know how I came to know that it is a loan? So when you contact them, for example, say Islamic financial institution, the call is diverted to another third-party financial institution. And they ask, what is your interest rate? I say, it is not interest rate, it is a profit rate. They say, okay, what is your profit rate? So that, intrigues all this,
Listen, you're talking to a call center. What does that mean? What is a call center? Who is answering you? It's a call center. What do you expect from the call center? They are not technicians, they are not lawyers, they are not Sharia scholars. They are there to sell the product or whatever they are doing. So you got to take that with a bit of soldier conversation with them. This is why I want to see the document, and then only are we able to answer. Because like you, there's so many people telling me what you call in Arabic, tri local. We hear this, I heard that. We don't work like this in the real world. As lawyers, as Sharia scholars, we don't work like this. We got to see the actual document signed. Then we can give an opinion. I don't say you are lying, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from a precautionary point of view, I got to read the document.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else?
I just wanted to add something to that. Yeah. Just something short I want to add to the brother. Can you give your opinion of what is the halal way or the right way these Islamic banks should be financing for us to get a house in a halal way? So just maybe just a concrete.
There are various products.
Just the reason why I ask that is that some people say Allah Alam is true, but once you can't have two contracts in one.
Safaqatan fi
So
safaqatin.
maybe just a bit of
Okay.
Sorry.
You asked two questions here. You asked me one question, you then have two questions. One is the principles of having two contracts in one. This is a very long debate. There's a whole entire AYFE standard on that. I personally have a whole doctoral thesis on that, which we cannot discuss here. Basically, these principles come, the ikhtilaf there comes on two hadiths. One is Islam says, do not combine a loan and a sale contract. Understand that. So say for example, you want this water, you don't have money. I give you a loan. So this, suppose it is $1. I give you a loan, but then I sell it to you for $1.50. So you follow? So I cannot ask you interest, but I'm giving you the loan of $1.50 to buy it from me. So you are paying me back $1.50, but the real price is $1. So to circumvent interest, you say loan, so something, don't combine that, because you are making a hila to go through interest. You understand? A loan and a sale, two contracts, so something, don't combine that. The second one is where Rasulullah, he took a loan and he gave a lien on it. It was his armor. So here you got the chapter of guarantee or lien and loan. He combined them. So from there, ulama explained, there are a lot of conditions when you can combine, when you cannot combine. Having both on a piece of paper doesn't mean it becomes one contract. The content that you got to look into, how it's being drafted. When they started in UK in 2004, they were doing that. They had a product called Ijara wal Iqtina. That is, you lease, that is your leasing contract. Then there's another contract, you got an option to buy. They tell you an option is not a contract, it is a unilateral decision. So it's not a contract. A contract must be bilateral. You as a client who decide. The bank got nothing to do with that. Okay, he gives you a choice, right? So this whole debate about having these two in one, whatever, right? So we have to appreciate that that is about your concept, or can you combine or not. Depends, right? So there are rules and regulations, the AOIF standard, under certain circumstances, you can put it on the same document. You don't have to have two different documents. It boils out to the same thing. What difference it makes? It won't make any difference. I write it on this page, you are write it on the other page. What difference it makes? You are signing both. You follow what I'm saying? That's one. There are some rules to observe. You can check AOIF, there are 4 or 5 rules on that. Regarding the product, it depends on the law of the land. What will be acceptable or not acceptable. I know one bank in UK, when they developed their product in UK, it was one product. When you went to US, they could not adopt the same product because the law did not allow them to do it there. So, two main product you will get is ijara with option to purchase. Why ijara? Ijara is the only product as far as I know where you can change the price. For example, I want to rent this property. I can do it. This week you pay me X amount. The following week I say, okay, I'm going to increase it. The following week I tell you I can increase it. Whereas in a sale, you are locked in the price. You can't change the price. In an ijara, you can do it per second, you can do it per hour, you can do it for 10 years to change the price. So the bank is playing safe with ijara. All right? So this is why they go on lease. So if there is a change, they want to be competitive on the market. They don't want to lose because they are accountable to their shareholders now. So this is where they can adjust the price. Is that okay? Now, the second, so ijara, and they give you the option to buy. The second one is diminishing owner partnership, where they ask you 20%, so you own 20% and they own 80%. Then they put it in a trust, right? So when you pay the rental, the amount you pay, the installment, one portion goes toward the rental because you are staying in 80%, which comes 70%, which comes 60%, because you are buying the share. So when you pay, say, $1,000 every month, they will tell you, okay, $400 you are paying rental, $600 you are buying our share. So say, for example, the mortgage is 30 years. Over 30 years you are paying. After 30 years, it becomes yours. Then the trust is dismantled. I don't know whether they use a trust mechanism here or not. I don't know. In UK, they put it in a trust. This is known as diminishing partnership, right? So as you pay, your share increases, but you are paying rental, and over a period of time, everything you have bought over the share. So that, I don't think you got to put it two different documents. It's a straightforward thing. So when you are paying two things in one payment. One is the rental because they own it as well. A portion of it they own. And the second one, you are buying their share. All right? Is that okay? So this is not a diminishing partnership. So these are the two main products. There was a product called Manzil in the 1980s in UK. I think this was the first, if I'm not mistaken. This was based on Murabaha. The bank buys it, fix a profit on that, calculate it over 20 years, how much you're going to pay monthly. So they already fixed the profit on that. Now there's something you got to appreciate, the difference between profit and interest. What is the difference? The difference between profit and interest are three. The Prophet says, Al-Kharaj bid-Daman. When you are to sell something, you got to take liability. So the bank has to buy it first, unlike the conventional. So when the bank buys it, they are taking a risk. For example, if there is a earthquake, it is a name of the bank. You haven't signed it. Who takes the risk? You haven't signed. You cannot be losing. The bank who will lose. Unlike in a conventional one. So al-kharaj bi-thaman. Al-ghurm bil-ghurm. This is a legal maxim. No paid, no gain. So the bank, unlike they will send the people to check the house, to evaluate the house. They have put commercially they are engaged with it. The third one is kasb, the effort you put in. So al-kharaj bil-zaman, al-ghurm bil-ghurm, and al-kasb differentiate profit and riba. So you got to appreciate this in the contract. These things often is clearly mentioned. So this is why we differentiate between conventional mortgage and Islamic mortgage, where the bank takes ownership. Now again, I've read the contract in other countries is clear cut, they take ownership. In certain countries, they don't take the ownership because of double stamp duty.
Yeah, they don't take here.
They don't take ownership. That's how they do it.
They put it in your name. If you are the borrower, you want to buy the house, then it will be in your name, and then they will have a ward contract. Through that, they basically, so you have an agreement with the financier, the non-bank financial institution, Islamic financial institution, that you are not the owner. You will, at the end of the period, like 30 years or 25 years, you buy from them with the hiba, okay?
Yeah.
So you
Again, I have to read all those things. I don't know the law in Australia. I got to be careful what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's true that there is a stamp duty which is very
Yeah,
high.
this is why in UK they changed the law. I think it was 2004, the double stamp duty. Then also there was abuse on that. I don't know, they reintroduced it or what. Yeah. Other question?
Inshallah, we will have 10 more minutes because the Sheikh, as I mentioned, he hasn't seen his family the whole day.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Walaikum salam.
One of my Muslim brothers has bought a house using mortgage from the bank. 2 years ago, before he got the mortgage, he spoke to me and he told me that he's going to get a house using mortgage. And I told him, no, it has riba. Don't get mortgage from the bank. And then I suggested to him, Amana Institute is an Islamic organization. I suggested to him Amana Institute. I told him, go to Amana and get a loan from there and buy a house. And he told me that he has looked at all the Islamic organizations in Australia. They all charge interest, but using different names.
Mhm.
Yeah, similar to your question. So he said he has looked at all of them. They charge interest, but using different names. So he said it doesn't make any difference. So he went ahead and got mortgage from the bank and bought a house. So now, two Muslim brothers who are like him, thinking all our Islamic organizations are charging interest, so there's no need to go to them, because sometimes it's very hard getting loans from the Islamic institute than from getting from the bank. So they end up going to the bank. So I also think that there's a need to make the message clear to the Muslims so that they can.
I told you
So
I am not going to answer this type of question which is based on presupposition, qil or qal. This is something you and your friend talk, whether you understood him properly. It's open to interpret. This is why I want to see the document. As a lawyer, I'm not going to go into, because this is not evidence for me. What your friend told you is not an evidence for me. Even in fiqh, it's not an evidence. I need evidence. Where's the evidence? Bring the paper he signed, then we can talk.
If I can interrupt, inshallah, I know we have the Grand Mufti in Australia, and they do welcome these types of questions and things. So like the Sheikh is visiting, and inshallah we need to make his visit smooth. We don't want the Grand Mufti to block his visit next time he comes. And I know the Grand Mufti won't. But look, you can see, mashallah, the scholarship of the Sheikh. You want to see things in its tangible form. So, but look, if in these cases, we can refer to you to the Grand Muftis, inshallah. And the Sheikh is welcome to answer other questions that will not complicate himself, inshallah. Any other questions? Inshallah, we have 6 more minutes. So make your questions very precise.
Maybe those who didn't ask.
I'll go on. You asked twice. I'm sorry. Let's see. One question, please. Just one question.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I have 2 questions, but I'll just make it one. More predominantly with, this is a little off topic, but something on the similar page. With Forex, is it a little more, if we consider an asset, is it still like holdable?
Forex reality is there is leverage. And ulama say it's not jaiz. Unless it is hand to hand, like the hadith quoted early on, then it will be jaiz. There is AOFE standard 1 on that. You can go and read. If there will be leverage where the brokers will manipulate things behind and give you a loan and you got to pay interest for the loan just to get some currencies, that is not jaiz. Forex, it said there are about 6 types of forex products.
Yeah.
It's not only one,
Yeah.
right? It's not only one. There are various type categories, right? Is it a derivative and all the stories, yeah? So what is allowed in Sharia is only one. You exchange the currency hand to hand.
Without a broker, a spot transaction.
Yes,
So
spot.
foreign
Yeah.
exchange.
If the broker can do that for you, that's only allowed. If not, ulama says no. Mufti Taqi has written on that, and many other muftis.
My question just with cryptocurrency. So there's some people bring the argument that if we don't invest in it now, then we'll be left behind as a community. Is that like a strong argument to be put forth, or is it something that you'd say is a very emotional argument?
How? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because this is a words of arbitrage. This is not a word of businessmen. Because products will always come on the market. Today is Bitcoin, tomorrow will be Ethereum, tomorrow will be whatever type of coins on the market. So don't tell me, if all the market will go up, all will go down. It's not like this in reality. Yeah? So, okay, this one goes up, take another one. So you can't just, you got to think in terms of a businessman. What you call in economics, your opportunity cost. Is this the best one you can make or not? Not that because this is an opportunity now, you invest your money in that. No. You got to look at the rules of Allah as well, whether what you're doing is right or not. Because, for example, some people will borrow money to buy Bitcoin. Is that right? You follow what I'm saying? Or some people will use a credit card. Now, first of all, you have signed a credit card where there is you have accepted to pay riba. That is another story altogether. Are you allowed to have credit card? Because if you got your debit card, the same reasoning. Debit card, you're traveling or whatever, you pay with your debit card. Credit card, the only difference is they give you 55 days. If you don't pay, there is interest. But it seems to be very logic, you will pay 55 days. That's not the point. The point is you have accepted to pay.
Yeah, that's right.
You pay or you don't pay, that's something else. You have accepted, you have signed it. So it comes to the same thing. So with credit card, as you know, in many countries, if you lose, somebody use it and steal money, you get your money back. Debit card, very seldom you get your money back. Because credit card is the money of the bank. Debit card is your money. You understand? So you're not covered up. You follow? So these things needs to be understood properly. Okay? Last question now.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Sorry to ask, this question is sort of going a little bit back. So in terms of when you're doing a profit and loss sharing business or buying a thing, it has a certain value. So once you purchase that thing and then that thing gets devalued, and ultimately they will not accept, so you've done a partnership, $100,000 for a property, I guess, So over time, that property is costing now $80,000, for example. So the person I'm doing business with, he's saying, look, you still got to pay me the full amount. I'm not going to devalue my percentage of share of the property, because these things can happen, like GFC and COVID and stuff like that. So if the convention or the banks is now not allowing supposedly Islamic banks to devalue their share, would that be acceptable?
That is a policy. It's not riba. Where is it riba? It's not exchange of money for money. This is, I'm selling this to you, right? I'm telling you, okay, I'm selling you for £20. You want to buy? You still, okay, I'm selling you £30. As long as I'm happy, it's okay. I don't see where's the problem there with the devaluation.
It's because you've got, like, let's say you're paying the rent, you know, and you've got a...
Yeah, but the man is telling you, I don't mind. That become a hiba from his side. It's a gift. He's taking that decision. You never force that on him. It become a gift from his side. The way, what I understood from you.
Like during the transaction, so let's say you've got it and 1 year passed by, that property value suddenly dropped to by 50%. So when you go to the bank and say, look, I have a partnership with you, I had 10 shares before, and that was $100,000. But now the property value is 50,000.
Yeah.
I have 10% share, which is, let's say, 5,000. So can you reduce your share as well? So I owe, let's say, which is, let's say, 90% is 40,000 or 45,000.
No, but what is the problem? What is the problem? Exact problem is what?
So
The man is accepting to pay you. Where's your problem?
the problem is, like, you buy a partnership, like a property, as a partnership, and it has a certain value.
Yeah.
When
okay.
that property devalues, they still hold the higher value. They do not devalue that property with you as a partner.
Sheikh is not, I think he's saying that he's not gifting it to you. In fact, he's saying, like, we had an agreement, for example,
Yeah, it's
me and
not a
him had an
gift, yeah.
agreement for, like, I bought 20%, he bought 80%. So I paid 20,000, he paid 80,000. Now 1 year down the line, the rate of our investment reduced from 100,000 to 50,000.
Okay.
So if you take 20% of his 50,000, it'll be like what? 10,000.
It's diluted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then under the agreement, when I said since my share price reduced, I don't, and can you make the amount I owe you to get the entire thing from 80,000 to 40,000? And he's like, nah, I want the entire 80,000 because.
Oh, he's asking you.
Yeah.
It was a careless contract.
It depends on the contract. You have to see it.
You see, when you make a deal, this is what I mentioned earlier on. So it's not a gift then. So he's the opposite to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's imposing it on you. So remember, this is a partnership. Definition of partnership is where 2 or 3 people put the resources together for a given endeavor with the intention to share profit or loss. Right? You got to share the profit. This is what Islam says, al-kharaj bid-daman. So when you give money to do a transaction, as far as I'm concerned, you must take the loss as well.
Inshallah, we have a last question here.
I have a question. Some brothers say that you can buy one house on riba they say because it's a necessity or whatever. How would you respond to that?
There is a fatwa on that by the European Research and Fiqh Council, 2002 or 1999. It is available on internet. In the context of Europe, you got to understand, usually when you have a house, it's for 1 year. So every year you have to worry now, you got to shift house with your family. It disturbs the education of your child because you are shifting to another place, look at another house. Maybe you got to change school, right? Usually a rent contract is 1 year, some 6 months. You understand? And there is a moral dimension, a psychology dimension to keep your family stable. And in Europe, very difficult for your family. It's not impossible, but very rare people will come and put money on the table for you, right? So if we are going to wait for a person to get 200,000, by the time you get 200,000, the same house is 500,000. You follow what I'm trying to say? So which means the Muslims remain always it's not empowered economically. You need the house, you got to look at the health mental health of your family, etc. Based on all those factors, the fatwa says it is haram. It's clearly mentioned. We are not saying it's halal, it's haram, but based on the rule of necessity, because of stability of the family, mental health, blah, 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 we allow a house that, on the basis of necessity, what you need. If you need 4 bedrooms, don't go and buy 10 bedrooms. And you say me, this is necessity. Because there's another legal maxim, ad-darura biqadri zarura. What is necessary, you do it to the extent of what you need. For example, you are in a desert, there's absolutely no water, there's only 1 bottle of alcohol. You don't drink the whole bottle to save your life. You take 2-3 sips just to save your life. Fahimd? So this is what the fatwa is saying. You do it to the extent of, there is a fatwa from that specific organization. Nevertheless, I understood, I got to check, some ulama have written to them to relook into this, their fatwa. Yes. So I'm waiting for the new fatwa, if ever I decide to come up with. Either change their mind. But this is a circumstance, they have said it. Yeah, you understand? It's a very specific circumstance. You got to understand that.
Jazakallah khairan. Look, I think Sheikh was meant to be here for 2 hours. It's going to 3 hours, Sheikh. And I know the family is at the hotel waiting for you. And mashallah, I don't know where he gets his energy. Sheikh, you better tell us your secret.
Last night I didn't sleep at all.
Allahu Akbar. Well,
24 hours up.
It's true what he's saying. We dropped him off, as I mentioned, after 1 a.m. At 3 he was sending a PowerPoint presentation. In the morning, 10 o'clock, he's waiting for me. He's already dressed up, and so the whole day he hasn't seen his family as well. So alhamdulillah, look brothers, if this is the energy of a sheikh in this young age, what about us who are younger? Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Inshallah, you'll make dua for us, and we'll end off this session. Inshallah, Sheikh is still around. He's here till Friday, inshallah. If you go on our Facebook or even WhatsApp group, you will see his schedule, and you can inshallah benefit from the Sheikh. What we've had maybe is only 1% maybe. He kept on asking questions, and I was just mashallah mesmerized with his answers. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his family. And may Allah bless his endeavors, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make his visit to Australia frequent, inshallah, from this visit, inshallah. Sheikh, your du'as, and we conclude, inshallah.
يا ولي الأولين آخر الآخرين ويا ذا القوة المتين ويا الرحمن الرحيم يا ولي السماوات والأرض يا حي القيوم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد بعدد كل معلوم لك اللهم احفظنا من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب القبر وعذاب الآخرة اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الهم والحزن ونعوذ بك من العجز والكسل ونعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل ونعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين ونعوذ بك أن يهدرنا لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم سبحان الله رب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرت ولا حما إلا فرجت ولا حاجة هي رضا إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر مستعاذ منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.